Welcome to Eccleston Piano. This short tutorial is looking at the augmented chord, how it is constructed, looking at the intervals involved, and to an extent how it behaves. I'll also look at how it is written down on sheet music, and towards the end there's a short quiz using 4 examples, 3 from classical music, Mozart, Delibes and Saint-Saëns, and then also something from the world of jazz by Hoagy Carmichael. I hope you find this useful and enjoyable. An augmented chord is usually a triad. What do I mean by a triad? It's a chord with 3 notes. So for the chord of C major, you'd have C and E and G. An augmented triad built up on C would also have the C, it would also have the E, but instead of the G, it would have the G sharp. So a major triad consists of a major third, is a major third, and on top of that, a minor third, E up to G. Now, it may be hard to believe, but every major chord consists of that in some form. The notes may be inverted so that instead of the C at the bottom, the C may be at the top. So we'd still have E and G and C. So the intervals, you've got the minor third there, the E to the G, and now the G to the C is a fourth. But the basic triad of C major consists of C, E and G. So in order to construct an augmented triad, we still very much need the major third, for example C and E. On top of that, we don't put a minor third, as with the common chord of C major, but on top of it, E to G sharp, which is actually another major third. So an augmented triad is made up of 2 major thirds. So C to E, 1 major third, and on top of that, E up to the G sharp, making an augmented triad out of 2 major thirds. So it's really important to remember that the augmented triad is made out of 2 intervals. It's not just C up to G sharp. If you had C up to G sharp with an E flat, all of a sudden it's no longer really augmented. So the ear would actually hear that as a major triad in first inversion. It's basically an A flat major chord with the A flat there, put up top. So compare that with that. It's quite different, but the outer interval is still the same, the C up to the G sharp, which appears in both chords, both the augmented chord with an E in the middle, but the A flat major in first inversion, still with the C up to G flat, probably written as A flat, but have the E flat in the middle. Quite a different chord, but in the middle, something different. One issue with this is how the interval is named, and that is to a large extent dictated by how the interval is written down. So the first interval here, C to G flat, would be called a diminished fifth, because it's smaller than a perfect fifth, which is the second interval, C to G natural. So there are 5 letter names involved in this, is C, D, E, F, G. So you count, when you're naming the interval, giving it a number, you count the starting note and the finishing note. So C, 1, D2, E3, F4, G5. So that's why that would be called a fifth. So C to G sharp is still a fifth because there are 5 letter names involved, C, D, E, F, G, even though the G is raised a semitone to the G sharp. So that is why it is called an augmented fifth, and therefore the chord C, E and G sharp is known as an augmented fifth. This interval, it's written a little bit differently. Let's consider the number of letter names involved. C, D, E, F, G and A. In this case A flat. But there are 6 letter names involved. Therefore, because it is written in this way with 6 letter names involved, it's called a sixth of some description. So if it was C to A natural, it would be a major sixth, but with the A flat, It's considered a minor sixth. So the way an interval is written down affects the way it will be described. But the ear will hear it in the same way frequently. So it may be written as C to G sharp, but the ear will still hear it as if it was written in another way, C to A flat. But it's usually named a different way depending on the way it is written down. It gets confusing. Okay, time for a little quiz. I'm going to play an excerpt from Georgia on My Mind, music by Hoagy Carmichael from the 1930s. So I'm going to play this through, and I wonder if you can spot where the augmented chord is. Try not to look at the chord descriptions above the treble clef, because a little bit of a hint there as to where it occurs. Okay, so here we go. So, did you spot where it occurred? It was at the end of the first time bar, C7 in brackets sharp 5. And as you can hear, it acts as a kind of a transitional chord. It's got something before it, something after it, and it's not dwelt on. So it's very much, it's a little bit like a junction chord, a twist. So the G7 going to the C7. So it's like a launch pad for going back to the key chord. This is in F major, so it's going back to bar 1 where we have F major. And the next quiz question is with an extract from Mozart and Allegro in FK15A. I'll play that a second time. Okay, did you spot where it was? It's in the second complete bar where you have the C sharp quaver in the right hand on the third beat of the bar. So the F, the A and the C sharp in the right hand makes an augmented triad. For the A up to C sharp, although there's an octave plus involved, it's still basically a major third. Actually a major 10th, but acoustically, in terms of the harmonies, it sounds as has the same effect as the C sharp was an octave lower. This Mozart example is a little bit different from the others in that the augmented chord is developed from chord 1. The tonic chord, we're in F major, so the home tonic chord is the chord of F. Notice the augmented chord is F, A and C sharp, which is an augmented chord built up on the home note, F, going to chord 4, which is, in this case, B flat major, because the fourth note of the scale of F, F, G, A, B flat, is the chord of B flat major. And the next quiz is from Delibes ballet Copellia, and this is the waltz. A slightly longer extract, but I'm sure you're ready for it. So, did you spot it? It's actually in bar 14 where you see the G sharp in the right hand. It's an augmented built up on C. In the left hand you've got a B flat. So basically it's a C dominant seventh. Dominant is the fifth note of the scale of F for an F major here. So the fifth note of the scale of F is C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's C, and the chord is built up on C with the note C, E, B flat, and the G sharp is in the right hand. That's the augmented fifth interval, C to G sharp. And here's one from the 19th century by Camille Saint-Saëns from Carnival of the Animals. This is the elephant. Okay, where did you think it was? This particular one was in bar 28, the dotted minim chord where you have the E flat in the right hand. So it's an augmented built up on G. In the left hand you've got the G to B natural, it's a major third. The B natural up to the E flat is your augmented chord, although it's written as B natural to E flat. So you could call it a diminished fourth, because in terms of the intervals it's B, C, D, E. Remember, you count the intervals by the number of letter names involved, so you could call it a diminished fourth. That is an augmented chord if ever there was one.